Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu ma vitvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We'll chant from verses 11 to 15 of chapter 3. Devan bhavayatanena
Devan bhavayatanena
te deva bhavayantu vaha
te deva bhavayantu vaha
parasparam bhavayantaha
parasparam bhavayantaha
Shreyah paramavapsyatha
Shreyah paramavapsyatha
Ishtan bhogan hi vo devaha
Ishtan bhogan hi vo devaha
Dasyante yagna bhavitaha
Dasyante yajna bhavitaha
Tairdattana pradayaibhyaha
Tairdattana pradayaibhyaha
Yo bhungte stena eva saha
Yo bhungte stena eva saha
Yagna shishtashinah santaha
Yajna shishtashinah santaha
Muchyante sarva kilbishaihi
Muchyante sarva kilbishaihi
Bhunjate te tvagam papaha
Bhunjate te tvagam papaha
Ye pachantyatmakaranat
Ye pachantyatmakaranat
Annad bhavanti bhutani
Annad bhavanti bhutani
Parjanyadanna sambhavaha
पर्जन्यादन्नसम्भवः
यज्ञात् भवति पर्जन्यः
यज्ञात् भवति पर्जन्यः
यज्ञः कर्म समुद्भवः
यज्ञः कर्मसमुद्भवः
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So in the previous few sessions, we have been seeing some very deep messages which are embedded in these verses. See, what you need to understand is that when a master gives this wisdom to a student, it will be very spontaneous. We can, in a way, say, not a prepared message. All yogis, all masters are always very spontaneous. They may prepare a few things, have a few guidelines, some points here and there, but all those things only serve as general guidelines. But a true master is one who is always fresh, who has a clean slate, and who is ready to respond to any situation in life spontaneously. But just because a master is spontaneous, it looks as if there is no preparation, it doesn't mean that whatever wisdom he gives is not deep. The amazing thing of these great masters is that they are extremely spontaneous on one hand, and at the same time, whatever comes out of them, I'm deliberately saying coming out of them, because these great truths cannot be timed, cannot be exactly planned. It is the flow, the flow happens when one gets connected to the infinite. And when there is a demand, automatically the wisdom starts flowing. That is exactly what happened with Lord Krishna. When Arjuna was ready and he was seeking, genuinely he was seeking, the flow just started. So it is not that Krishna said, Arjuna, wait, I'll go prepare and then come and tell you what it is. It's not all that. So it's extremely spontaneous. It's a response to that particular situation. But even though it is so spontaneous, we can see an amazing logical flow. We can see a structure. It's extremely structured and organized. In any kind of art, whenever something is spontaneous, it will appeal to the heart. That is, the emotions. Whenever something is structured and organized, it will appeal to the head. That is the intellect. Oh, this is very logical. That's how an intellectual will react. But what is very interesting with the wisdom of these masters, for example, if we take the Bhagavad Gita, is that there is an amazing confluence of these two. That is, an appeal to the heart and an appeal to the head. That is, it is both spontaneous and very well organized. This is the incredible combination which is being demonstrated in these verses. If you take one verse, there is an amazing structure, organized logical flow. At the same time, you find that spontaneity. Every word is so spontaneous, it's so inspiring. But that spontaneity should not be confused with impulsiveness. Now, this is very important. See, there is a big difference between being impulsive and being spontaneous. Being impulsive means just acting based on that temporary emotion, what we call as a mood swing. It may be right, it may be wrong. Definitely it will not be organized, it will not be logical. That is what is meant by being impulsive. We generally have these two kinds of people. Either people are very impulsive, but then they are never organized in life. You see, impulsive people just do whatever they feel like doing. So one day they'll feel like doing one thing, next day they'll just do the opposite thing. So their actions will be self-cancelling. There will be no direction, there will be no dimension in their life. There will be no structure. If you give them some work, you can never depend on them. Impulsive people cannot be depended upon. The dependability factor will not be there. Responsibility will not be there. See, generally, you should act in such a way that when someone gives you some work, it may be your own boss, it may be some help which you're doing to someone, any kind of work, or it may be your family members, it may be your partner. When you take up something and you say, I'll do this, they should have the trust on you. How will they get the trust? Only if you are a responsible person. Now this work has been given to him or her, it's in safe hands. He'll do it in a pakka way. So when will they get the trust? Only if you are very well organized and structured. If you are responsible. That organization and structure gives the responsibility. If a person is highly impulsive, you don't know how that person will act tomorrow or even this minute. You're given that work, suddenly in a fit of a mood, he may not do it, or he may do it improperly, because he just acts based on moods. So this is on one hand. On the other hand, there are some people who are very well organized, who are very structured. All those things are there, but they lack emotions. They lack that spontaneity. So they are the people who act like machines. See, humans are different from machines. Today, there is a big comparison about AI, artificial intelligence, ruling the world tomorrow. Tomorrow means in the future. Now, beyond a point, that's not possible. Because an AI is always programmed. Even sometimes, they say now AI can think and all. It is actually not thinking, it is not thinking like how a human being thinks. There is a pre-program which makes it calculate in an automatic way. Now, that can never replace NI, that is natural intelligence. Just as you have AI, artificial intelligence, we can say there is the opposite, no, NI, which is the human brain, human being. That is the natural intelligence. Now, externally, an AI can mimic a human being, but it can never become a human being because there is a programming, there is an inbuilt system. Incidentally, that system has been created by a human being only. So the ultimate control lies with the human being. There are parameters which are given to the AI and it cannot go beyond that. It just acts within the boundaries of that, of those parameters. So there are people who function in a very organized way, who think in a very logical way. That is a positive thing. But when they take it to that extreme, what happens is they keep analyzing in every situation where it is not required also. For example, when it comes to emotions, how can you keep analyzing them? You will have to feel the emotions. When it comes to an emotional relationship, sometimes the approach may have to be logical. Sometimes you will have to feel the emotions. So they lack that flexibility. So on one hand, you have people who are impulsive. They are able to act spontaneously, but that spontaneity lacks depth. Because they are just simply following their moods and their minds are not attuned to the higher values of life. Therefore, we can't say whatever impulse they are getting will uplift the other person or will do good to even to themselves. Like for example, when Krishna is looking at Arjuna, spontaneously he feels, he thinks, this is what will suit Arjuna, and the wisdom just flows. That state is different from an impulsive person just saying something which he feels. As a sadhak, it is very important for you to know the difference between all these things. So on one extreme you have impulsiveness, which mimics spontaneity, but it is actually not being spontaneous. The emotion is there, but there is no structure. So this is on one hand. On the other hand, some people are very organized, very logical. Now we can apparently see a beautiful structure, but there is no inspiration. They act like machines. They just go by rules. They are highly inflexible. They will have a schedule. It's good to have a schedule and follow it. It builds a lot of discipline. But in certain cases, we may have to be flexible. Supposing an emergency comes, then you will have to quickly change the plan. It's like you're going in a particular route, you're driving the car. Now it's all well planned, but suddenly there is some problem in the route. Let's say some accident has happened or something, due to which now you're stuck. You will have to quickly decide, okay, let me take a different route and go. But if you're so caught up with the program which you have fixed for yourself, then you will not be able to suddenly change your plan. I know many people who, even when they go on a holiday, they don't spontaneously enjoy whatever experience they get there. They go on analyzing, they go on calculating. So that has a part in your life, but that is not everything. This is what you need to understand. Emotions have a part in your life, but emotions are not your full life. This is what impulsive people need to understand. Similarly, logic has a part in your life, but logic is not everything. It is only a part. This is what logical people need to understand. But in life, you find that you keep falling into one of these two extremes. Sometimes you are very impulsive, sometimes you are a little logical. The proportion varies from person to person. Rarely do you find a person who is both spontaneous and logical, who has tremendous emotions but at the same time is very structured and organized. That is a very rare combination, and this wisdom gives you that combination. Because a person who is able to think logically, structure his or her life properly, now will mitigate a lot of issues before they surface because of advanced planning, and the life will be very wonderful only if the other component is also added, that is the emotions. Otherwise, it will become boring. If a person is purely logical, then he will become like a machine. It will be so boring to talk to him. Can you have a machine as your friend? Today, that is a trend which is happening. That will not work. They are trying out new things. See, instead of learning to relate with people, they are trying to pre-program the artificial intelligence in such a way that it will just respond according to whatever your nature is. That is not going to give you that real satisfaction or real fulfillment. You need to understand this. The solution is in learning to relate with others. So, an impulsive person will be very exciting. To be with him or her, will be very exciting. But it will tire you out. 1 second he'll be on a high, next second he'll be on a low. 1 second he'll do one thing, next second he'll do the other thing. So that will tire you out quickly. A logical person will give you clarity, but it will lead to a lot of boredom after a while. Just imagine, if everything in your life is pre-planned and set, right from morning till night, every second of your life, this, after this, like that, if everything is set, how long will you be able to do it? After a while, you will get bored. There has to be that space within each activity where you bring that emotion and you are spontaneous. Unless that element is there, your life will become so boring after a while. So when we read these verses, we can see how Lord Krishna gives both at one go. He is being very spontaneous. He reacts to the situation and responds in a spontaneous way. On the other hand, the wisdom which he gives, whatever words which he speaks from that state in a spontaneous way, if you take and analyze, you find a brilliant structure. It is so organized, so structured. It is not only the Bhagavad Gita. You take all the scriptures, they are like that. Any master, any yogi has this combination of being very spontaneous and extremely logical. They look like a paradox. It looks like a utopia, no? How can you have both? But that is what a human being is capable of. And this wisdom gives you that capacity where you can organize your life in a wonderful way. You can structure your life so beautifully, and when you live it, you will live it spontaneously, with full emotion, with full inspiration. That is a yogi's life. So many people get confused here, because when we use the yogic approach and go into such depth, how is it that something which is ordinary is so deep? There is a very deep meaning, there is a very deep structure. Because you are not used to that. But from a yogi's perspective, it's a very simple thing. So when you go to your master, you may have prepared a question, let us say, for several months. Long back it happened. One person, he had a question for almost 3 years, and he had, after 3 years, that is prior to starting starting to watch these Sunday sessions, for 3 years this question was going in his mind. So that time these sessions were happening in the auditorium, actually live. So he came to the backstage after that, the green room, and he said, sir, he asked for an appointment, and I'd given him a few minutes. He said, sir, I just have one question, and he asked. As soon as he asked, I just gave him the answer. I said, this is how it is. And instead of being happy that his question has been answered, he became a little upset. I asked him, so why are you not happy you're not happy with the answer or what? He said, no sir, the answer is amazing. Then why are you upset? He said, no, I had prepared this question for 3 years. I've been having this question for 3 years, and I thought the question is so deep and this, that, and that gave me a kind of an ego boost. When I came and asked you, you just immediately answered it without any thinking. And that answer is fitting in so well. I'm wondering why it didn't strike me for last 3 years. I told him, no, it is not that the answer was given without any thinking. Since it was so spontaneous, you are thinking that there is no thinking, there is no logic. So how do we combine these two? How to be very organized and structured in life and also be spontaneous? This comes to a person who does sadhana on a daily basis and gets established in the higher wisdom. See, when you're generating an emotion or a thought, if you're established in the higher wisdom of life, this ancient wisdom, what happens is every emotion, every thought comes from there only. It is always connected to the higher. So it can never be impulsive. There has to be a structure backing it. Similarly, every time you're thinking in a structured way, consciously, now when you are attuned to the higher wisdom, now the inspiration will always be flowing. So in literature you have two things, right? One is prose, the other is poetry. To write poetry, to appreciate poetry, that requires inspiration. Prose requires structure. Now you should examine your life. Are you living your life like like writing prose, or are you living your life in a poetic way? It has to be a combination of both. Why I am mentioning this today is that I received a question where a person has asked, he says, I've been studying the Bhagavad Gita, an elderly person, very humble. He, from the question itself, I can see that he's very well, he has read a lot of scriptures, he's got a lot of knowledge, which is so wonderful. So he has mentioned that I have studied the Bhagavad Gita for almost 40 to 43 years or something, he has mentioned, and various commentaries and various approaches. Now, it's not only the Bhagavad Gita, so many other scriptures also I have studied. That has been like a lifetime thing for him. He's been doing research. And he says, what is mentioned is very interesting. He says, when I started attending these sessions, now it hit me. It gave me a jolt, because the depth with which these verses were being handled is something which I could never imagine. It is way beyond the intellectual analysis. So, and not only that, when I attend these sessions, these verses seem to have so much of life in them. That is what is very interesting. That is the inspiration part he's talking about. On one hand, the analysis is there, the logic is there. On the other hand, it fills you with so much of enthusiasm and life. So he has asked, how is it? How do I develop this? It is only through personal sadhana it can come. Because you have these two tendencies within you, what we call as manas and buddhi. So the manas means the mind, the emotions. Buddhi means the intellect, the logical thinking. So this will take you in one direction, this will take you in another direction. To integrate both your emotions and your logical thinking is yoga actually, is one aspect of yoga. So when your emotions are running in one direction and when your thinking is running in another direction, when your thoughts are running in another direction, now that will create a tremendous conflict. That person who has asked the question has mentioned that. He says, in all my 43 years of research, now so much of knowledge I have gained, but that has only burdened me. He has used the word burdened. Beautiful word, very apt word he has used. Whereas, once I started attending these Sunday sessions, this yogic approach has started unburdening. That is, what he has said is, the exact word he has used is, it has started making me very light, he says. The more I attend these sessions, the more I get to know about these verses, it makes me very, very light. He says, I am becoming like a feather. That's a beautiful way of explaining, when he has asked that question itself, he has also explained it in such a beautiful way. So logic will burden you, knowledge will burden you when it is not mixed with emotions and inspiration. Emotions or inspiration will tire you out if it is not mixed with proper logic and structure. So as a sadhak, you should strive to combine both these approaches. Some people ask, no, are you following Bhakti Yoga or are you following Jnana Yoga? That is all just for an understanding. You are made up of both your intellect and mind. You have an intellect, you have a mind also. The proportion may vary. So how is it possible that a person can do only Jnana Yoga or only Bhakti Yoga? Similarly, some people are Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga or Hatha Yoga. Now, and then so many yogas nowadays, each one is bringing up one yoga. They are just giving one name, this yoga, that yoga. Traditionally, there are only 4, actually 3, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and then Hatha Yoga. In the Bhagavatam, he says there are only these 4 yogas. Everything else is just taking something from here, something from there, and giving one name. That is why when somebody asks me, sir, can we package this and can we give a new name, something, and then yoga. We can call it this yoga, that yoga and all. I said, I'm not for that. We should respect the great masters, This is just yoga, yogic approach, that's all. That is why when the organization was started, they asked me what to name it. I said, Infinite Wings. It should be infinite, because that is what is ultimate goal. Spirituality is not about giving a new name to this and then creating a brand. See, it's not brand building, like what some people are doing. A true master will never get into brand building in the sense, see, what do we mean by brand building? You're building a new brand. Now then you're pulling the followers towards you rather than towards God. If at all brand building has to be done, it should be about the infinite. In that process, the person who is whoever the master is, who is propagating, who is teaching, may become a little known. But if you take the entire history of humanity, the greatest of achievements are really nothing when compared to the entire history of humanity. So no master worth a name will have such expectations or such desires. There is no meaning to all that. So what is being given to you is the ancient wisdom in its pure form. No adulteration. The moment we adulterate this a little bit and add some masala and all this, immediately this will become very famous. But the real message will still not go across to people. This way, even if, let us say, just a small group of people are listening to this, you all will pick it up. But it will be really solid, because the focus is on getting connected with the infinite. So this combination of emotions and knowledge, there is nothing like I'm following Jnana Yoga, I'm following Bhakti Yoga. You have to follow all the four. You have to do Jnana Yoga for your intellect, you have to do Bhakti Yoga for your emotions, to purify your emotions. You will have to do Karma Yoga at the physical level. You will have to do Hatha Yoga for tuning up your body and the pranas. Now, this is a must. The proportion may vary, the different permutations and combinations can come. For each permutation combination, one name can be given. That is okay. And all these have to be backed with dhyana, meditation, which is, which will gradually increase. The meditation means the ability to go within will automatically increase. That capacity will increase when you follow the path in the right way. So in this verse also, we are saying the same thing. Each word, when we say ishtan bhogan, then when we say devaha, yagna bhavitaha, when we take each word like that, that is so spontaneous, that is so inspiring. And then when you join everything together, we find such a brilliant logical structure. So as sadhaks, this is the sadhana message which you can derive from this. That is, when you observe this, you can take that principle and apply it in your life. So it is generally said, you should feel what you understand and you should understand what you feel. That is a perfect combination. You can never classify a true master as a jnani or as a bhakta. That is all a judgment from the perceiver's level. The so-called great bhaktas, they demonstrated tremendous discrimination in many situations. The so-called great jnanis, they demonstrated tremendous emotions in many situations. So you should look at this in a comprehensive way. Take this principle of combining the emotions and thinking and start applying that in your life. You're functioning in your office, you're relating to your family members at home, you're relating to friends. Whatever it is that you're doing, now apply both these principles. Do that in a very organized way, not in a haphazard way, number one. And number two, once you plan and when you start acting, be very spontaneous. Bring that emotion, that bhava. That is what we were seeing for several weeks, how the bhava, the emotion is so important in whatever it is that you're doing. Is this clear? That gentleman who has asked the question, I think that question has been answered, and through that a very deep message has also been given to all the sadhaks. So you all can make a note of this. Never confine yourself to just knowledge or to just devotion or just karma, hatha. It can never, life is never like that. You have all these four aspects within you, and you will have to follow everything together. As I told you, the proportion may vary, the application may vary according to situations, but the fundamental principles will not vary. So, Ishtan bhogan hi vodevah dasyante yagna bhavitaha. So last week I was explaining to you how bhavaka means that is with pertaining to oneself, nourishing your bhava, purifying your personality. Because ultimately your bhavana represents your personality. Yatha bhavaha tathasi. As your bhavana, so are you. What is the difference between you and your neighbor? It's not merely in the physical body, it's in the bhavana. Two people are doing the same activity. What is the difference? It's in the attitude, bhavana. So, bhavana is a reference to self-purification. So, you have to take care of yourself. If you cannot take care of yourself properly, you cannot take care of anybody else. If you are not responsible towards yourself, how can you be responsible towards others? A person who leads a very disorganized, haphazard life, now if that person gets married, say for example, now if he is lucky to get a partner who is also like that, probably it may work, but even that setup, I don't know for how long. But otherwise, the moment we talk of marriage, there is a commitment, there is a responsibility. He will not be able to fulfill all that with grace. So, issues will surface. See, I am saying he, but it is equally applicable to a man and a woman. There is no, it's not applicable only to one gender or anything like that. To all the genders, this is the same principle, the same higher principles are applicable. So, bhavaka, that is, you have to do the duty towards yourself. You have to take care of yourself. So, taking care of yourself is not selfishness. It is a fundamental requirement. Then, what are you doing to the society? Society means first your family, then the circle goes on becoming bigger, family or city or country or entire nation, then the whole world, humanity, the entire universe. Like that, the circles go on becoming bigger and bigger. Now you may ask, sir, sitting at my home, how can I now change the universe? It is not about changing. It is about what you are contributing. See, ultimately, what is this universe? The universe is made up of every little aspect. So, whatever you are doing, even though it is very small, it has a small role in maintaining this universe. This is what the yogis called as collective consciousness. Just imagine, let's take a small unit like a family. There are 5 members. Each member contributes something, and that's how that unit flourishes. So, when one member acts properly, that has an impact on the family unit. Supposing one member acts in a very selfish way. Now, that will cause a disruption in that small unit. So, when it comes to the immediate family, you can understand this. It's the same thing with respect to the society, city, nation, world and the universe also. So, serving the nation, for example, doesn't mean no, you'll have to do something special. Whatever you are good at, when you do it with that right attitude of contributing, of serving, keeping the nation's welfare in mind, now that is what your offering is. That is what you contribute. That is an essential aspect of yagna. That's why he is calling it as yagna. So it is a reference to the duties which you have to the world. And then Devaha, gods, the higher goals. So your life is not merely you and the world. What about your ultimate purpose? You have to grow spiritually. Slowly you will have to become more and more divine, which are the different gods, represented by different gods, till you become the infinite, which is called Brahman in Sanskritam language. Brahman means that supreme, formless reality. So when you take care of these three aspects, that is, when you purify yourself, when you do your duties towards the world, and when you also grow spiritually, when these three factors are fulfilled in your life, then what he's saying is, Ishtan Bhogan, the gods will give you the desired enjoyment. It means your life will become so wonderful. You will be able to attract tremendous success into your life, and you will enjoy every minute of your life. Bhoga. That is the amazing effect it will have in your life. See, when you come into spirituality, when you start doing sadhana, it should transform your life. If that doesn't happen, then why should you do the sadhana? So the yardstick of proper sadhana is what is happening in your life. Am I becoming more successful? Am I becoming more happy? Am I enjoying my life better? These are all very basic things. The real spirituality, the higher spirituality, is getting connected with the infinite. But that will have to translate in these ways in your life. I'm talking of giving it a certain time period. If that is not happening, then there is definitely something wrong with the way you're doing the sadhana. The sadhana per se can never be wrong, because this has been given by the great masters. You will have to see whether you're doing it mechanically, whether you've understood it properly and you're practicing, or are you using that to purify yourself? Are you really willing to change? Are you using it to influence your thoughts and emotions in a positive way? All these things you will have to analyze. When these factors are missing, then you will simply be doing so-called sadhana on even sometimes I know people who do sadhana in a mechanical way every day also. So you will be doing that, but it will be totally divorced from your life. Your life will just be continuing in the same way. Same kind of quarrels you're having with people, whatever your negative emotions are, like fear, anger, jealousy, those things are still continuing. You're always complaining. See, this nature of complaining is so deadly. When you are a child, you will complain about the parents. When you become a parent, you will complain about your children. See how the mind works, When you get a partner, you start complaining about the partner. When you go and join an office, you will start complaining about the work environment, this, that. You will complain about the country. You will complain. Every time you will be complaining. So one hand you are saying, I am doing sadhana. On the other hand, this is going on. It means you are not doing the sadhana properly. You are not applying the principles properly. You are not using that sadhana material to release these negative factors from yourself. So, if you follow these three principles, that is taking care of yourself, doing your duty, taking care of yourself through personal sadhana, then doing your duties towards the world, and then also rising spiritually, now your life will take a tremendous turn towards the positive. Your life will become a series of miracles, literally. How many sadhaks have told me that? But you should not stop with that. These are still at the relative level only. Your goal is to go towards the infinite, but incidentally, these benefits will come. So when these good things start happening into your life, there is one danger. That danger is you can get an ego boost. You will get a feeling, oh, now I've got more money, now I've got more name, now I've got more fame, I'm getting appreciation, I've got a good job, I'm getting so much of money, I've got a good house. So that ego can take over. That is the real danger. So how do you ensure that that ego never takes over? That is what he's covering when he says, O Deva Dasyante. The gods will give. Dasyante means giving. Will give. So whatever it is that you are getting, that is whatever benefits you're getting, this is a beautiful sadhana. Consider it as God-given. You do all the sadhana, you purify yourself. That's what I told you, the bhavana, yagna, deva, the higher goals, all that you fulfill. Then that will start attracting infinite blessings into your life. So when those good things start happening, the ego is ready to take over. So what is the treatment to that? Simple. Gods will give, he says. Means consider everything as God-given. Attribute everything to the higher. The moment you attribute whatever it is that you have in life to the higher, that forms a protective layer that protects you from your own ego. See, the ego is so deadly. It is waiting to trade on whatever tapas you do. Little bit of sadhana you do, you get some benefits. Now the ego is waiting. And without your knowledge, it will come and corrupt your thinking, your emotions, and all that. And it'll, all this success and everything will get into you, will corrupt your head. It'll go into your system. And before you know, you will stop doing your sadhana. See, the ego will always try to do two things. Actually, the ego within you does not want you to do sadhana. It does not want you to take guidance from your guru also. Why? Because when you take guidance from your guru, now he is going to push you towards doing sadhana. And when you do sadhana, now that is a threatening factor to the ego. When the more sadhana you do, the ego will start getting dissolved. Now who wants to die? Nobody wants to die. Same thing, the ego within you never wants to die. So it sees any kind of sadhana, any kind of spiritual guidance as a threatening factor. So it will find out ways and means by which it can trade on the energy which you have received, so that you fritter away everything and you stop doing your sadhana, and it will ensure, it will try its best. Your past karmas and the present ego, both put together, will try their best to pull you away from the protection of the Guru Shakti. Even in astrology, very interesting, they say, if the Guru, when they talk about the planets and all that. When the guru is very strong, then the other planets cannot do anything. It is very interesting. It's nothing but a reflection of the higher principles only, the same principle we can see in that also. So when you have the protection of the Guru Shakti, now planets can do anything to you. Actually, anyway, planets don't do anything to you. It's all the law of karma. Your karmas only determine your future. But I'm only saying, I'm going along with the beliefs which generally people have. Even in that case, what does the ego and the karmas, past karmas, try and do? They try to trade on your tapas, whatever energy you're receiving. And the result of that is, you will stop doing sadhana and you will get disconnected from the Guru Shakti. I have seen many sadhaks who start off in a very enthusiastic way. They are so inspired. They get connected to the Guru Shakti. They start taking guidance from the master. Then they start doing their daily sadhana and wonderful benefits they get. Many of their desires which earlier they were struggling with, which they thought will never get fulfilled, all of that get fulfilled. They start attracting a lot of wealth. Many other things also get fulfilled. And suddenly, the ego takes over. And when the ego takes over, the ego wants to separate. So what they do is, first they stop doing sadhana. And simultaneously, they also get disconnected from the Guru Shakti. So you will have to be careful there. And how can you protect yourself? Very simple, he says. This is a sadhana tip which we can get. Always consider everything which you are enjoying in life as a blessing from God, blessing from the higher. A yogi always practices this. Whenever something good happens in his life, he says, it is all a blessing of God. It is all God's blessing. It is all my Guru's blessings. He will always attribute it to the higher. First you practice it with good things. Then you will advance to the next level where even the so-called negative things, you will start saying that is also a blessing of God. That is a further higher state. Because today when you're perceiving it as negative, how can you say it is a blessing? The answer is given in the Bhagavatam, where he says God never punishes. When your karmas are good, good things are given. When your karmas, that is actions, attitude, those things are wrong, then he doesn't say he punishes, he corrects you by giving some difficulties. Through those difficulties, you learn the lessons of life, you overcome those negative factors and you grow. So, the so-called difficulties in life are also nothing but blessings in disguise. But you cannot straight away practice that. So, this is very important. Deva dasyante. The gods will give ishtan bhogan. So, your entire life will start becoming so wonderful, but it is at that time you will have to be very careful. You should, because the moment the ego enters, it's another trip. You will have to go through one cycle and come back. And you will get disconnected from Guru Shakti, you will stop doing your sadhana, and your past efforts will push you, give you good benefits for a while, but then it will lead to a lot of stress, agitations, and finally you will be left with nothing. In the Puranas, so many incidents have been given to illustrate this point. And our yogis and great masters, they keep on warning the sadhaks. So we should take that tip. So from this moment onwards, start practicing this. Gratitude. Whatever it is that you have, now attribute it to the higher. Genuinely thank God, thank nature, thank the Guru Shakti. It is the bhavana, it is the feeling which you generate. And the more you do that, it will give you enormous strength to continue doing your sadhana. Rather, it will give you that strength to intensify the sadhana. So there are two moments or two kinds of experiences you have to be careful about. One is whenever some good thing comes to you, remember, the ego is waiting to take over and it will pull you away from your path. If you practice this, it's all God given, then you're protected. Your ego will never be able to take away the higher energy which you have carefully built. The other kind of experience also, the other extreme also can pull you away from sadhana. That is, whenever some difficulty comes in your life, again the ego comes and puts an illusion. In that difficulty, in that struggle, you will get disconnected from your sadhana and from the Guru Shakti. But a true sadhak will maintain that balance. Whenever something good happens, he or she will say, it is all God given, it is the blessings of God, it is the blessings of the Gurus. Whenever something negative happens, a true sadhak will say, I take the blessings of God and I bow down to the Guru Shakti. I will intensify my sadhana so that I learn the lessons, the right lessons from this difficulty, and I grow to the next level. That is the other side of the same coin, of this principle, considering everything as given by the higher. So as sadhaks, if you want to become a powerful sadhak, this is a very important principle which you need to follow. Devaha dasyante. The gods will give. Means whatever you have received till now, it's all the blessings of the higher. Whatever you are receiving right now, they are all the blessings of the higher. And whatever you will receive in the future, they are also the blessings of the higher. What an amazing attitude it is. And that is what makes a yogi so powerful. When you don't attribute it to yourself, that is when you become very powerful. Example, Hanuman. Hanuman was, right from young age, that is early, as he was a baby, he was so powerful. He is said to be a Chiranjeevi, so powerful. But never ever in his life did he attribute anything to himself. He always said it is all the blessings of Ram. See, the amount of wisdom which Hanuman has, everything, it's like it's so complete, In the Srimad Hanumadhyana during that release, I had explained a little bit, You should get inspired by that. The Yoga Sankirtan material, Sri Hanumadhyana, you would have experienced the power of it. In another few months, when we have the Yoga Sankirtan empowerment program, this time the empowerment for Sri Hanumadhyana is going to be given for the first time. That's going to intensify the energy. So what is it that you primarily learn from Lord Hanuman? This is the combination. He was able to move mountains but never attributed anything to himself. What a state, what a grand state. We think God means he'll be superior, this, that. That is from our level. But it is a state of innocence. It is a state of purity. It is an unassuming nature. Even Lord Krishna was like that. See, Lord Krishna was so unassuming that Arjuna never thought that Krishna was spiritual. That's why he's asking Krishna, can you explain about a Sthita Prajna? He's not recognizing Krishna as an avatar. That shows how simple Krishna was as a person. Just going about doing whatever he ought to do in life. So this is what will make you a powerful sadhak, and it will also get you connected with the infinite. So take this sadhana tip. This is the homework for this week. When I say this week, it's not to be ended this week. I'm saying you should start practicing. That is, whatever blessings or whatever it is that you're getting in life, start considering them as blessings given by the higher. Somebody may come and say, oh, earlier you were like this, now I can see wonderful changes in you. You're becoming very calm. Immediately the ego will take over, Say it is all the grace of the higher. It is all the grace of the Guru Shakti. That's how we practice. This is a very important practice in the yogic path. And when I say yogic path, in the spiritual path. The great avatar Dattatreya said that, When the king asked him, I can see the spiritual tejas. You are the infinite. Can you please give me that wisdom? He said, I don't know what you're talking about. I have learned from many sources. If you want, I can share that with you. See that unassuming nature. Amazing simplicity. So you take that as today's homework and you work on that. We'll stop with that as of now. Next week we will go into more depth. We are going to get into a slightly different line of thought, but it's connected to yagna only. That is the parasparam aspect. We could have started that today also, but since that question came and I thought that question is very relevant, especially extremely useful to all the sadhaks, that is why initially I had covered that portion about spontaneity and the structure, the combining both these forces within you. Okay, so before we do the Nididhyasana meditation, I will take up one question. During the session, it was mentioned that when we keep doing sadhana, number one, subtlety increases, and number two, consciousness rises. So, does rise of consciousness mean moving from selfishness to selflessness? Yes, you're right when you say rising of consciousness means moving from selfishness to selflessness. That is one way of looking at it. See, when we talk of any spiritual principle, there are infinite ways of looking at it. We would have seen that, any important principle we take, I keep giving different dimensions. Even the Ishtan, Bhogan, first I gave from one level, and then suddenly last 2-3 weeks I've stepped up the level, if you've noticed. When it was explained from the soul's point of view, the Jivatma, because many of you were receiving it so well. were ready for that. So that part of it was given. So that itself shows there are different ways of looking at the same thing. So when we talk of rising of consciousness, there are so many ways to understand it, infinite ways. Whenever the context comes, I keep giving one dimension to it. One such dimension is what you're mentioning, moving from selfishness to selflessness. So when your consciousness is at a low level, it is stuck at a low level, then you are highly selfish. It is just I, me, myself. I will not accommodate anybody else in terms of identification, mental identification. So I will fulfill my desires by harming others also. I don't care about anybody else. That kind of an attitude, that is selfishness. And then as the consciousness starts rising, from selfishness you become more and more unselfish. That is, you start becoming inclusive in terms of your identification. You are able to accommodate now somebody who is near and dear to you. You call as someone who is near and dear to you. It may be your own family members, which means you are able to identify with a few more people. So you fulfill your desires also, and at the same time you contribute and do your duties towards your family. Then more unselfish. That's what I was telling you, the higher God, that is the Bhavaka, Yagna and Devaha. It's only the identification which keeps on increasing. So then the unselfishness keeps increasing. A time would come where you will start functioning for the Loka Sangraha, which means for the entire universe. It's a very powerful, advanced state. And then comes the highest state, where the ego is completely dissolved. That is called selflessness. That is the complete expansion of consciousness. So, selfishness is complete restriction of the consciousness. Selflessness is complete expansion into the infinite. And whatever is in between, that is relative, unselfish. From a higher standpoint, we can say it is selfish. From a lower standpoint, we can say it is higher. It's less selfish, which is what we call as unselfishness. So it's an interesting question. It helps you understand and absorb this principle of rising of consciousness better. But don't conclude that this alone is rising of consciousness. There are infinite dimensions to it. As and when the context comes, I'll keep giving you more dimensions. Why this is very useful to you, that also I'll tell you. When you begin to understand what is expansion of consciousness, rising of consciousness, all these things, when you do your sadhana, now your sadhana will start yielding better results, because whether you spell it out or not, now your understanding of these principles will start becoming a goal for you. You will naturally, your mind will start appreciating these things, and you will want your consciousness to rise. You will want to become more unselfish, and finally you will want to get to that selfless state. So when those higher goals are formed in your deeper mind, and when you do your sadhana, now the sadhana will start the process of fructification. It will start materializing your goals. So you will start becoming more and more unselfish. Your consciousness will actually start rising. That is why such questions are very relevant That is when you look at it from a sadhana point of view. Okay, so now we'll do the Nididhyasana meditation. Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. With every breath, I am becoming more and more relaxed. Feel the divine vibrations. With every breath, I am going deeper and deeper into myself. I am not this physical body. I am not the pranas. I am not these various emotions and thoughts. I am that infinite, supreme reality. From this moment onwards, I choose to integrate my emotions and logical thinking I consider everything as a blessing from God. I always remain connected to the Guru Shakti. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Slowly come back. Wriggle your fingers, your toes. Rub your palms together to create a warmth. Cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, cheeks, forehead, top of the head, back of the head and neck. Slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. So we had another powerful session. These principles which are being given to you will make you so powerful. See, for example, when you integrate the spontaneity and the structured logical thinking within you, your personality will become so powerful. Every principle you take, if you start practicing this given by gods, that is the habit of attributing everything to God, the divine, the Guru Shakti, then what will happen? You will start deriving the power from these higher forces. So whatever inspires you, you spend time with that, absorb it, and start practicing it in your life. Okay, so that is what is so important as a sadhak. So in the coming weeks, we'll be getting into an important principle. We'll start off in this verse, the second line, and then it will continue further. So much is there. It is not about giving those principles quickly, but how much you absorb is the key, What you're practicing is very important. So we'll take it at I wouldn't say slow pace, but at a pace at which you can absorb. Let us put it that way. Okay. So thank you very much. I'll see you in the next session. Hari Om.